Hey guys, it's John Cotter with Jenson USA, and today we're going to be taking a look at Shimano's new 12-speed group sets. So 2019's been a huge year for Shimano. They've introduced 3 new levels of their 12-speed mountain bike group sets. I've been able to spend some time riding on the XT, and I've been really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. Today we're going to kind of dig into each of these 3 group sets a little more thoroughly and see the differences between them and see which one might be a right fit for you. So first up, we're going to talk about their range of cassettes. So these are all 1051 cassettes. They are also offered as a 1045 option. These are all going to work with Shimano's new microspline free hub, which is going to be their new standard for 12 speed, as it allows them to run down to a 10 tooth cog. Another really neat thing about their new microspline free hub bodies is that with more surface area from these splines, it's allowed them to make them out of a lighter weight aluminum and not have to worry about them getting marred up and chewed up by your cassette under power. One thing that's really great about this whole set of group sets is that they're completely interchangeable. They use all the same technology. So what's new for this year is Hyperglide Plus. Hyperglide is technology they've used on previous generations, which are these series of ramps that help the chain shift up into these bigger gears. And Hyperglide Plus does the same thing, but in both directions. So normally, if you've ever had to come up to a big climb and you didn't downshift in time, you'll feel that a little bit clunky when you're shifting into a harder gear, and that completely eliminates that. When I've been out riding, I've purposely been trying to shift under the heaviest load I possibly could, and it's completely crisp and smooth and quiet every time. Where they differentiate from each other is primarily in the materials they're made from. So with SLX, you'll notice there's 1 aluminum cog and the rest are steel, and that brings this one up to 534 grams. The XT is a little bit lighter at 470, and it gets 2 aluminum cogs and the rest are steel. The XTR will be the lightest at 359 grams. It gets 3 aluminum cogs, 5 titanium, and then the rest are going to be steel. So to work with those bigger cassettes, Shimano's redesigned their rear derailleurs to handle that larger capacity. And they've also worked to make them shift so much faster and smoother. There's less tension in the lower end of the gear, so that way they can shift easier. They're lower profile. They've updated their pulleys from the 11 tooth that they had before to a 13 tooth, so you have just better chain wrap and less friction in the system. And between the 3, they're all functionally very similar. From the SLX up to XTR, one of the big differences is the weight and the materials they're made with. So if you want the lightest weight and just the top of the line derailleur, then XTR is going to be the one for you. All right, so next up we're going to take a look at their cranks. So all of their cranks are now going to be using a direct mount chainring, the same standard across the board. So whatever level crank you buy, you can run any level chainring. So the XTR chainring is going to be a 1-piece aluminum chainring, whereas the XT and SLX are a 2-piece, which is going to be an aluminum body with a steel chainring. So a little bit heavier than the XTR, but a little bit more durability in the steel. But functionally, they'll work the same as a 1-piece. They'll still use that same direct mount standard. As for the cranks, some of the main differences are going to be in the manufacturing process and the finishes, where the XTR will be hollow bonded, the XT and the SLX are hollow forged, so they won't be quite as light as the XTR, and the finish across all of them. So the highest level finish up to the XTR, but the SLX you might have a preference for just with that brushed look. I think is a great looking crank. Functionally, they're all very similar. They're available in non-boost, boost, and super boost. If you do need a narrower Q factor, the XTR does come in a narrower Q factor than the XT or the SLX. So next we're going to take a look at shifters and brakes. One thing that's new across the board here is that they all will use the new iSpec EV, which is a really great new addition in that it gives you a lot of adjustment both vertically and laterally, so you can really dial in where you want your shifter to be. On the XTR side, on the highest end, you have that multi-release and instant release. So you can drop 2 gears at once, and those are going to go as the second you hit that shifter. Same with the XT, that'll have the same instant and multi-release. But with SLX, you only have a single release, And when it releases is when you press the shifter and it comes back. That's when you'll drop down in that gear. The XTR and the XT also have this really great rubber pad on the shift lever, which gives you a lot of extra grip, especially if you're riding when it's raining or without gloves and you just need a little extra traction there. And on the XTR, it's actually replaceable. So if that wears down, you can put a new one in there. As far as the brakes go, all of these brakes are going to be available in a 2-piston and a 4-piston, and those are all going to be ceramic pistons, which really helps dissipate the heat. They also have the option of finned and non-finned pads if you want to have some more heat dissipation as well. On the lever, you'll notice that they all have this second point of contact with the handlebar, which really stiffens up how that brake feels when you're riding. These are also just a lot more fine-tunable and reliable than some previous generations have been, where people have noticed a sort of a floating bite point in their brakes. These have a lot of adjustment in not just the reach, but also the free stroke adjustment. That's something that you get on these two higher in the XTR and the XT. And this is a place that I would definitely want to upgrade from the SLX, because these SLX levers don't come with that free stroke adjustment. But with all of these, you're going to get some really great stopping power and really reliable set of brakes. So one of my favorite things about these group sets, like we talked about a little earlier, is how completely interchangeable they are. You might be in one of those camps that completely uses one of these or the other. If you're a rider or racer who really just needs the highest end, the lightest weight, and the highest performing group set available, then XTR is completely for you. At the other end, if you're looking for the most budget-friendly way to get into a 12-speed group set, the SLX is a great way to go, but it gives you the option of upgrading specific parts. If I were running SLX, I would want to upgrade my shifter because I really like that multi-release feature in the higher end shifters, as well as the free stroke adjustment in the brake levers. But all of these groups are just a really, really great value for the performance that you get from them, and are, I think, going to be a great fit. If you have any other questions about these, feel free to reach out to one of our gear advisors. All orders ship for free over $50, and remember to keep pedaling.